Retard.
Excuse me.
So I had a concerning conversation with my 16-year-old daughter now, who informed me that if we go out and have lunch together when I go back to the U.S., I'm currently in the Philippines, but when I go back, I wanted to go out to sushi with her. And she told me that if we go out, we can't talk about politics, we can't talk about racial slurs, or any slurs, she said. And I said, okay, that's okay, I understand. But when you bring up, J.D. Vance, like in this conversation, she was talking to my youngest daughter, she brings up J.D. Vance and she's making fun of J.D. Vance, baby Vance, or some meme or something. And it's often the case in our conversations where my daughter brings up politics and her point of view on politics, and my feedback triggers a bad reaction. But it's usually not me that will bring it up, it's usually me that will respond, but I'm not supposed to bring it up. I'm like, okay. And then she's like, but no racial slurs either, because once in Hawaii I heard you say the N-word with a hard R. And I said, that isn't true. And I would question anybody who's known me to ever hear me say that. I don't believe it. Since I was 15 years old. And my dad was very racist. He grew up in a time where he was in the Georgia riots when he was in the military, and it was a different time of racial tension, and my dad used to use that word. Not often, but he did use it. And so since I was 15, I have corrected myself, and I got this tattoo on me that says Spear. It's a group I founded, a boys group, a fraternity, a fraternal group that skins and punks everywhere against racism. I've got that same tattoo on my foot as well. So I got this when I was 17, and I got the one on my foot when I was 15, and I've been against racism so heavily since then, since I was 15 years old. I used to know people who were very racist, and they were Mormons. It's a racial thing in the Mormon church because their doctrine is racist. So I grew up around a lot of racism, and I made a stand when I was 15 and again when I was 17 to stand against it. And I've made documentaries on how Jesus was black, and Jesus, is a mentor of mine, teacher. I'm a disciple of Christ. And I believe he was black. I believe, his bloodline, Naomi and Rahab and, whatever, his lineage was black, as African or whatever. So when she said that, I said, I don't believe I've said that. Maybe in a context of talking about censorship, or maybe in a context of talking about theory or philosophy, but not in a hateful way. And I refer back, and they actually just made a commentary on this about the word retard and the word nigger, and I just did say it. In this context, in the show Shameless, from I believe it was 2018, 2017, I believe, and the context was the retarded people with Down syndrome wanted to take back the word retard. And so they were starting a group called Retard Nation.
Brothers and sisters, words only have power if we give them power. We must take back the word retard. Make it ours.
Sweetheart, the rest of us find the word offensive.
I'm not your sweetheart, bitch.
Mrs. Cantage, I know you mean well, but many of us here think it's time that we reclaim and redefine the word. And since normies don't get called retard, they don't have a say in this.
Normies do not get a say.
What's a normie?
I think it's slang for non-retards.
Hey, Fabio, do you mind?
Sorry.
I don't care how it's used. I don't want anybody calling my son that word ever. It's incredibly hurtful.
Even if we did get rid of it, someone will just think of another way of saying it.
That's right. The queers took back their word.
It's different.
How's it different? It's not like race issues disappear if people stop saying nigger.
Shut the fuck up. I can say it, you can't.
Retards, we must band together.
And their context was, the blacks took back their word. They'll call each other nigger or negro or nigga. Those three words. They will call themselves that, but nobody else is allowed to say it. And that's what was illustrated in that show. And I'll play a little clip of it here. And so in any context philosophically, or perhaps in the topic of censorship, I may have said that word with a hard R to emphasize something in that philosophical thought process, but I would never use that word hatefully. And I referred back to a time when I first married my wife, and my wife's grandma, Grandma Windland, my ex-wife, that is, her grandma, Grandma Windland, was talking about her doll collection. She had a black baby in the doll collection, and my daughter went and picked up one of the black babies. And Grandma Windland said, "Why are you playing with that nigger baby? Why don't you play with the white baby instead?" And I said, "Grandma, I can't believe you just said that word. And you said that to my daughter, and that was so hateful. Why would you do that?" And we didn't talk to her for possibly a year. It was very offensive to me. I didn't want my daughter growing up hearing hateful language like that. So when I have said it, I've said it and I've illustrated a point, and I also am not going to be censored. I'm not going to be afraid of words. You know, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. I'm not just going to be afraid of words. But if they're used hatefully, if they're aimed hatefully, and if that's their intention, then I will push back on that. I would break somebody's nose over being hateful and racist towards somebody else. You know, and even here in the Philippines, I mean, my girlfriends and her kids are very dark. You know, we call the youngest one a black baby because he's so dark. They're Filipino. I mean, they're just brown, but he's a very dark brown, and we call him a black baby. And it's cute. I don't know. I like it. I like the idea of having a mixed baby. And I've always thought that would be cute, a very dark-skinned baby with blue eyes. You know, I have very blue eyes, and, you know, a baby having my eyes and her skin color I thought would be cute. There's nothing wrong with it, and I don't hate it, and there's nothing hateful about me calling him a black baby. I just think it's cute. Dylan, and he has my last name. He's not my baby. Her husband died, and she came to me after the husband died, and she was still pregnant. And when the baby was born, I gave the baby my name so that the baby would have the right to U.S. citizenship later on in life. But, you know, and they'll always be my kids, even though we're not together, her and I, but they'll always be my babies, and I'll always love them. But no, I do not enjoy that word, and especially when it's used hatefully. I'm just not going to be afraid of every little thing. I'm not going to tiptoe around every little thing in society. And then I guess I used the word tranny in one of my recent posts about Imam Khalif, the guy who has male chromosomes, has a male build, you know, male body structure, and won multiple gold medals in the Olympics last year, and was tested and found that he had XY chromosomes and that he is a male. And he was disqualified from the IBA, the International Boxing Association, before the Olympics even. And this recent medical report came out, you know, illustrating that he is actually a man. He may have a DSD, but he is certainly male, and his chromosomes are male, and he does have male gonads and everything else, like this recent report. So, you know, when I say something about tranny this or tranny that, it's because there's so many transgender terms. And so I don't know whether someone's a transvestite, they dress up like the opposite sex, or whether they're transgender, they're actually trying to transition into the other sex, or whether they're trans species, they're trying to transition into a, you know, other species like a dog or a cat. That is a thing. Or whether they're transable, you know, they're trying to, they're able-bodied, but they want to be disabled, so they're transabled. And there's so many transgender terms, so for me it's easier just to shorten it than try to find the absolute correct terminology and just say tranny. Oh, they're transitioning. Oh, they're trans this or transgender. Or maybe they're not transitioning. Maybe they're transvestite. I don't know. So saying tranny for me is just easier. So I use the word tranny. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not afraid of it. I don't use it hatefully. It's a descriptive word, and it's an ambiguous word because there's so many variations of trans in this world today. So to say trans to me is one way of saying, you know, a very umbrella term, a very ambiguous term, and also saying tranny is the same. I don't mean it hatefully, but that's something I just want to clear up.